So I'd like to share about the fire and also about our future. It was 2 weeks ago to the day that this evacuation was happening. And, about this time, we were probably making it down to Ian and Danielle's house and making some soup, and then realizing that we needed to get up on the radio and do some work. But this fire, we all know how legendary it was in its proportions. Cobb, Middletown. How many of you guys have seen, like, some of the places that have been devastated? Like, photos are one thing, but yeah, as we get up there, it's super duper heavy duty stuff. And it's brought our community into crisis mode, which has also been kind of a beautiful thing. How many of you have been to one of the relief sites or places where volunteer action's happening around the county? I see a lot of hands. How awesome. Can we just give it up for all our volunteers around the county who are doing good work right now? The Moose Lodge, all the Grace Church, all these different places around here, the senior centers, the radio station, so many people doing glorious works to help each other out, neighbor helping neighbor. And then also, who's got gratitude for all the first responders and the emergency crews that have rolled in here and staked their lives to help us out? Like, mega gratitude. And there's the police structure too. Like, they've been representing, trying to keep things safe. All the police, all the emergency services, everybody. Much gratitude. The debt of gratitude that we owe to all these folks. Even the National Guard, as weird as it is, like, there are dozens of, like, Army, National Guard looking Humvees up there. Everyone who's come in, whatever has brought us here, it's been snapping us into community mode, and that's a beautiful thing. And maybe too soon to say after the fire, some of our Lakota sisters who were here at the sunrise ceremony this morning were reminding me that the fire, in many great mystical traditions, is seen as a great purifier. It's a great cleanser. It's a cathartic thing. So I'm not trying to minimize the devastation that happened. The loss of some human lives, countless animal lives, like a still growing number of homes and structures is definitely, like, it's a big deal. But it's also potentially a great purifier that somehow we've gone through this thing together. While it's staggering in its dimensions, we've gone through this thing together and somehow, I believe, come out the other end stronger. We've gone through this, I'm thinking, like a shamanic initiation, like a collective near-death experience. Whether we did lose everything or we didn't, we got that glimpse of what it might be like. And we're also getting a glimpse of what it's like to snap into community mode and take care of each other. And also it hardens us, like taking metal and tempering it, sticking it in the fire, and then sticking it in the cold water, and gradually making it stronger and stronger. So that's what's happening to us, just like even jumping in the hot and cold pools at Harbin. If you guys missed that and know what I'm talking about. What's more, though, this fire was a warning. And it's something that I believe that whatever devastation did happen, it could have been so much worse. Could have been so much worse. And I feel like we're in communication with the universe, and it's letting us know things. Even with the wind that's picking up right now, it's like there's constant dynamic communication going on. And so if the fire comes like this, and again, we were talking earlier, how ready are you? You're about as ready as you are when the fire comes. So I'm not trying to talk about doom or anything, but there actually are crises going on that we're not thinking about, and this fire is a warning, to let us know it's time to level up if we're actually trying to make it as a people. So I'm not here to talk about doom. I'm actually here to talk about people's victory. That's my name. That's what I'm here for, and I believe that's what we're all here for, to see victory in our time. Almost like creation has been this basketball game going on. This constant basketball game, like two different teams, one team of injustice and ignorance and oppression, and the other team of justice and hope and peace and love. And it's kind of like this team of injustice has been wiping the floor with us for a long time. And so we know that it's time for victory, and maybe we're just beginning to wake up to that. So I believe that the people's victory is just beginning, and that our work is really just beginning too. And again, this fire is just reminding us right now. As thankful as we are that there were people that were here to, help respond to the fire, and that the community's taking care of each other, we could have been much more prepared. And the coming days, we don't know what it's going to be like. I'll say a little bit about what I think we could be looking at, but we don't know what it's going to be like. It's the unexpected, and as they say, preparation is best done in advance. And like I said that like probably 50 times in the last 2 weeks, because I keep thinking it. Also, that community resilience is emergency preparedness. That to be prepared for emergency means to be strong in our community, to know each other, to have each other's backs, to have each other's contact information, and then also to have a world, like a community that's thriving with the planet. So we're growing our own food, we're storing and sinking our water into the ground. That's all emergency preparedness. There's a growing disaster consciousness in our times. And whether we think about things like global warming, which is very real and the whole scientific community is aware of it and very, very much, there's a consensus about things like this, we don't maybe think about it on a daily level because we got so much going on. We're all dealing with, economic inequality, this whole like class war against the middle class. And everyone's just suffering and struggling to make it by, so it's hard to think about these existential challenges like global warming. But there is this disaster crisisness, and I think it comes out in our mythology. Like I'm not going to list all the TV shows and movies and books that are either about the disaster and the day after tomorrow, San Andreas mega disaster, or set in a post-apocalyptic future where the disaster has happened and we've had to flee Earth, or there's a freaking zombie apocalypse going on, or whatever it is. But we're aware of it, and maybe we're not talking about global warming or some of these other crises that are going on, but it's working itself out through our collective unconscious in a lot of this mythology. And I think there is this growing consciousness that, and I think it's expressing. There's like our subtle bodies, our very sensitive, animal, nature, universal bodies sense that we're not safe on some level. I mean, we're always safe if we're following the light. If we're looking to the light, we're taking care of each other. We're always safe. But we sense that there's poison. That we've been poisoned in many ways, and that we've got some things to be concerned about, like the fuel loads on these mountains that we haven't been thinning out, right? So, yeah, you've already thought about that. We sense that the current way is not going to last. And again, maybe we don't have the vocabulary to talk about it, but we know it. We know it in so many ways, and we're learning how to talk about it. And we know it's time to transition. Okay, so yeah, feel free to set up. I'm going to keep rapping for a few more minutes, but by all means, do what y'all need to do. Again, I feel like sometimes resistance to talking about global warming, but like someone's got to do it. And it's not just global warming, and peak oil and the way that we've been consuming. We know that America's got 5% of the world's population and creates 25% of the emissions, uses 25% of the fuel, and makes 25% of the garbage for our little 5% of the world's population. And the world's trying to be like that, but we can't even. We need to not be like that. So there's mega transitions that need to happen. And I think one of the challenges has been this culture of disempowerment. That sometimes we think that we don't have the power to make a change because we look at a political system where everyone's been bought and sold, and we know that, Democrats and Republicans and whatever, like they're all looking out for their golf buddies, and what about us? So we turn on the TV, there's we got our culture of addiction, we're all dealing with it in our own ways, we're learning how to walk in integrity, and we're stumbling a lot along the way, and our bodies are being poisoned by all these things that we sometimes don't even know about, and alright, whatever. So we've got these changing times. And peak oil, right? So we're not going to have this. This is the carbon interval in the long history of our planet. There's this little time, the last 150 years, that we learned that we could set stuff on fire and make things move based on this whole industrial revolution carbon process, and it's running out. Like that time's over, and it's okay. We're going to transition. That's what's going on. And along with all this, along with the changing climate and the changing times, that's the fires, man. That's the weather extremes. That's the when we suck the land dry to fuel industrial agriculture. We have these gigantic mega farms in the place that's supposed to be the desert, and we're sucking the water out of our watersheds for that. Like obviously the land's going to become dry, and as the global temperature increases, yeah, the land's going to become dry, and then these fires are going to happen, and then the floods are going to happen. And I'm singing of our victory here. These are the things that are awakening us to the potential of our victory. Because if we didn't have little fires come through and wake us up, then we'd probably it would be really easy to stay comfortable and stay asleep forever until the real emergency happens. This little fire was nothing. They're bringing us supplies. We're going to rebuild. It's great. What if the emergency includes the truck not being able to come over the hill? What if the emergency hits larger than Lake County? We've seen a Great Depression in this country's history. Again, I'm singing of our victory. Our victory is coming as these emergencies happen and trigger us into awakening, and we find each other in community and find the drum and find the fire, find the tribe, find the water. But yeah, we've seen big things happen in this country's history, and we have not seen anything yet. So when the truck stops coming over the hill to rescue us, when they're not going to bring in FEMA supply drops on helicopters and stuff. What do we got? We got to boss up together. We got to mature up together. We got to become mature, and that means being able to take care of each other and ourselves, having emergency preparedness plans that are grassroots, that are of the people, instead of waiting for some agency to bail us out, as grateful as we are for those agencies. Gratitude, I love you. All right. So yeah, we can't leave it up to the bureaucrats, obviously, and we've said it so many times that it's like, right, we are the ones we've been waiting for, but we actually need to do it. That's the thing. We need to organize, and that's what I want to do these next, however long it takes, and that's what we're going to do. There's funds, and that's the other thing. Like, we revolutionaries or Rastas or whatever tribe we belong to, these people of the new earth, we don't like to talk about money and funding. We like to talk about love, like, how are you feeling? Let's take care of each other. But as a community organizer, and every community organizer knows, funding is a serious thing, and most of it goes to a bunch of BS. And even in the world of emergency preparedness, which we need, there are mega funds. FEMA's budget is in the tens of billions of dollars. And there are these funds, and they go to whoever claims it. Whatever agencies in an area are dealing with the issues. And so if it's the Red Cross, it's the Red Cross. If it's that church over there, it's that church over there. If it's us, it's us. So we need to do something here to organize so that as it begins to rain, and it is going to rain and pour in Lake County, not just rain, but resources. Just like right now, the world's looking at us, and they're saying, whoa, they had a big fire, and they were dealing with huge poverty issues and huge unemployment issues and environmental issues. We better show Lake County some love. It's going to be pouring here. So we need to be ready to receive the water and also all the abundance that's going to come to us, and we need to be able to put it to action. So I turned 30 this summer. Yeah, and a lot of y'all know that over the last several months I've been investigating a calling of sorts. I don't want to talk about me, but I feel like you guys are my tribe, and there's this question, and a few of you know when you can pass it on, right? Know that I've been investigating this calling, and you might have been aware that I took a trip to the East Coast a few months ago. I was in New York when Bernie Sanders declared that he'd be running for president. He did the webcast. Anybody see the Bernie webcast of when he's declaring he's running for president? All right, maybe not. I was in New York watching him on the internet, and I've been following Bernie for years and feeling inspired by Bernie for years. And I was in New York when he did this webcast, and I was excited. I feel excited still. He's speaking the language that I like to hear and that I like to speak, the language of love, the language of peace, the language of economic justice and racial justice and equality and sharing. And yeah, that's the language that I like to hear. Taking it back for the people, taking it back from the billionaires, revolution, peaceful, democratic revolution. That's what I like to hear. So I was excited, and I was like, yeah, this guy's running for president, and he's always saying it's not just going to be one man, it's going to have to be all of us if we're going to make it work. And he's, we know the law in this land is made by Congress, right? The legislative body. So I started thinking, wow, I got to do this. I got to run for Congress. I'd been feeling the call before, and I'll get to that in a second. But I was just starting to feel it out. And I took the trip before even telling people about that I wanted to do it. I needed to make sure I wanted the job. So I went to D.C. and I was like, okay. I went to the Capitol building in Capitol Hill. I was standing there. Do I want to work here? Do I want this to be my place of work? And I got a nice suit, and I went there. I was like, yeah, I kind of do want to work here. I want revolution. I want us to take this place over for the people. This whole this alienating system. So I said, yeah, I do want to work here. And yeah, it was this crazy just trip in DC. Oh my God, just sitting with the masters, sitting with Thomas Jefferson, sitting with JFK, weeping at his grave because he's saying the time is now, the trumpet is sounding. It's the call to arms. It's not a call to the familiar arms of shooting against each other. It's a call to arms right now, this great challenge of our times. One generation out of a few, one generation out of 10 gets this calling that we need to rise up, and how honored we are that this is our generation, that this calling is happening right now. And JFK is saying these things to me. Thomas Jefferson saying these things to me. Martin Luther King is always saying these things to me. He's talking about how true peace is not the absence of tension, but the presence of justice. True peace is not just not having war. It's when people are fed and people are feeling good and taking care of each other. That's peace. And so Martin Luther King saying this to me, and Abraham Lincoln saying these things to me. And you guys saw I posted on Facebook. I was sitting with Abraham Lincoln in the middle of the night, and by myself at the Lincoln Memorial, and this fox trots across the plaza. And I'm like, the fox was like, "Go for it, dude!" And the next day, I went and met with the incumbent congressman for District 5 in California, Mike Thompson. Much respect for the brother. And this district is Lakeport, Kelseyville, down to Vallejo, down to Santa Rosa. And I met this brother, and he actually invited me in, Mike Thompson, and he took me down to the labyrinthine caves beneath the Capitol Hill, all these little interconnected webs of tunnels that connect these buildings. And I met him in these chambers and shook his hands and looked him in the eyes. And he's not a bad guy. None of these people are bad guys. We have 435 of them, Democrats, Republicans, and some of them maybe do want to cause pain. But most of them are just trying to do good. It's just that they're lacking the actual visionary leadership we're going to need if we're going to weather the coming changes. Not only that, but actually thrive. To actually share and actually have our families feeling good, eating good food and just everyone actually doing good work, being paid a living wage. These are the things that everybody deserves, and we know about it. FDR talked about it. Freedom from fear, freedom from want. These are very basic things. Whew. So I'm like, yeah, go for it. And I met Mike Thompson, I shook his hand, I looked him in the eyes, and I'm like, all right, well, this can be done. And there's a precedent that a few years ago, 2 years ago, James Hinton, my friend from Napa, this guy ran against Mike Thompson, and he didn't spend a penny. Mike Thompson, the incumbent, spends $2 million to get elected each time. Who's going to beat that, right? What common person? But this dude from Napa went against him with no money and got 25% of the vote. But the feeling was, though, that this could be done. This dude could be unseated. And so I came back and started talking to the community, and a lot of people are like, "Palsson, you should do it!" And a lot of people are like, "Dude, no." We support you, but it's crazy. You could lose. Maybe you gotta pay your dues a little bit more. A lot of people are like, "Run for supervisor." I'm like, all right, I could think about that. But I mostly felt this animation, the animation would be to join the Bernie revolution and to go to Washington like a warrior and to take this whole system on, and that's what we got to do. So that's what I was going to do. That's been the plan, and I was intending actually to announce as soon as this autumn began, right at the end of summer. I went and turned 30, took a little spiritual journey with my brother here, did some other sacred things, and I was getting ready to come out into the public. I started my blog, peoplesvictory.us. The website still exists. I'm like, all right, I got to lay the foundation. I started reaching out. I got to do this, and then the fire hit. And I had to evacuate my house in Cobb, and I grabbed my family photos and my essential life documents, and I grabbed my guitar and my drum, and of course my dog was already loaded up and ready to go, and I grabbed my computer, and I grabbed my nice suit that I got in New York, because I felt like I was suiting up for this job. I was like, I gotta grab this nice tailored suit that I got, and I grabbed the paperwork for running for Congress, because I'm like, all right, I gotta have this paperwork. I'm not gonna. I had gone to D.C. and got this stack of paperwork, all the federal elections rules, and I'm like, all right, I grabbed that. It felt like a commitment. And then the last 2 weeks precisely, in Lake County, it's been a real psychedelic shift for me. What else can I say? The fire is a game changer. So I'm this dude who you either know or maybe don't know, and I'm talking about how I'm for power to the people and the planet, and how I've been thinking about running for Congress, and now ever since this fire, I feel like there's a lot of rebuilding that needs to be done here. And I have had some elders that I trust say run for supervisor. And while it hasn't excited me as much as riding on Washington, I'm thinking about it. And that's my update, for my tribe right now. For those of you who know me, is that I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm allowing myself to be transformed by this fire. And we got to get through these things together first. So we're working on building Lake County Strong. It's a community action agency that's grassroots and by the people. So that all this FEMA good comes in, all this money and abundance comes into Lake County. We can ensure that it goes into building sustainably, building things that are going to meet people's needs. And we're just going to be rebuilding. But what I'm saying, and I'm mostly talking to you guys. I mean, to all y'all, really. Anyone who lives in this district or cares. If you have any input, if you're like, Nils, dude, don't do any of this at all, that's fine. I'll take that from you. If you're like, right on Washington, I'll take that from you. But I kind of feel like it might have to be here in Lake County. I'm kind of getting this sensation that it might just have to be here. So I'm telling, I'm looking at Wendy, and I know Lorna. I don't know if she's still here. Yeah, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. What I do know is I want to do it as a team. I want us to be communicating and working together. So my invitation will be that we stay in touch. and that we actually build a grassroots movement, whatever we do. Because if we don't allow this fire to transform us and purify us, and if we don't allow this warning to awaken us and get us to think about what real preparedness would be like, and what real thriving would be like in our communities, whatever. We'll just keep looking at the flickering screen until the real emergency hits. But like, we got to wake up together, and it's going to take each other. I feel gratitude looking at you guys, and I feel grateful that you've shared some consciousness space with me and allowed me to speak to you for a while, and I look forward to speaking together. Yeah, much love and gratitude.